more people joining, so I might be a little distracted here as people work their way in. But nice to see you all.
Likewise.
Nice hat, Mark.
You got it.
When did I send that to you? Were you one of the recent orders? Oh. Nice. How's everybody doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just got to keep an eye on anyone joining. I'm sure people will trickle in slowly and surely.
Can you hear me this time? No?
Yeah, who was saying that?
That was Ken.
I heard.
That was me.
Okay, yeah, last time you had a malfunction, right?
Yes, because for a few months I'm temporarily relocated to a corner of the house with the worst Wi-Fi. But now I have a hardwired connection back to the router, so I'm actually getting maximum speed. That was the problem.
Yeah, that's the way to go, especially for stuff like this.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. I'm glad to see a couple banjos with people. That's cool. Rob, have you been on one of these calls before, Rob?
No, never.
Nice. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Tell us where you're from and what's the banjo you have there.
Sure. My name's Rob. I live just outside Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and this is just a little Recording King Madison model, but it's got a great setup on it by Mike Mumford, and it's the only banjo I've ever had, and I love it.
Yeah, those are good. I was just in your neighborhood. Did you realize that you live so close to Tom Adams and Chris Warner?
I do, yeah. I've actually never met Chris, but I've met Tom a handful of times. Yeah, he lives like 10 minutes up the road there.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to the things and I was like, oh man, they were right in my neck of the woods there.
Yeah, East Berlin, which is, about as small of a town as you can possibly get. But
is Tom in the town or is he in that Lake Mead development?
I didn't go to Tom's house, so I couldn't tell you. Maybe Rob knows.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back there in Lake Mead.
Yeah, because an old college friend of mine has a lake house there, 208 Lake Mead Drive, or they're lakeside. So I know Tom Adams. I'm up there once or twice a year. I know Tom Adams is somewhere in the neighborhood, and I'm always there.
Oh, cool.
So, I hesitate to put the new guy on the spot, but since you have your banjo there, Rob, is there something you've been working on, or anything you want to play, or get people's feedback about? We're usually pretty friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could show you this thing I'm working on right now. I don't know what kind of shape it's in, but
yeah, that's great.
Let's see.
Okay. Hold on.
Hmm?
All right. Anyone who's gonna play, I forgot to tell you the magic secret. You have to down at the bottom of your screen, you hit your dots, the more options, and then you go to settings, and you need to turn off the noise cancellation.
Aha.
For some reason, Google recognizes banjo playing as noise. So, and it works.
Who doesn't?
Much better. There we go.
That seem all right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I can get through this little version of Done Gone. something like that.
Yeah, man, that was great.
That was great.
Where did you get that? Especially that last time through the B part had some really interesting things. Where did you get that arrangement?
Yeah, Mike Mumford was kind of showing me that it's pretty faithfully based on Eck Robertson's fiddle playing. I didn't throw the crooked bar in there, but the tuning of it is like almost like a G minor tuning, but with the fifth string spiked it up to a B flat, which is the way Carl Jackson cut that tune on his Bluegrass Festival record in the 70s, but he only played 2 parts on it.
Oh, okay. So you just played 3 parts?
Yeah.
Do the B and the C part sound pretty similar? Because that was
do
confusing to me
do
too.
at the beginning, right? Yeah, the B part. And then the C part.
Yeah, I like that part.
Pretty similar, but a little different. Yeah, I just kind of slowed it down and transcribed it from a recording like 2 nights ago, and I've been working on it for a couple days.
Well, nice job, man. I didn't realize there was a 3rd part. I only know it from like bluegrass recordings of it. So
yeah, likewise, and it seems to be one of those tunes every time I've played it, primarily being a bass player, every time I've played it, it seems like it's different, but yeah, the Eck Robertson recording is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that one has 3 parts, pretty similar to the way I played it.
So you don't have a capo on, but you just have your B string tuned to a B and the high string tuned both to B flat?
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I've heard it, like I know BB does a really cool version of that without a capo. And a lot of people play it like that, but that's a new approach.
Yeah, it was new to
getting that double B flat tune.
New to me too, but yeah, that's the way that Carl Jackson cut it years ago, and it actually lays out pretty cool once you get it under your fingers.
Yeah, I couldn't see the banjo neck, but I was gonna guess that you were capoed because I kept hearing that open B flat string, but that's what it was. It's just yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I've been working on there. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, no problem. Good playing. Gretchen, awesome to see you.
Hi there. How you doing? It's good to see you too.
I'm doing great.
I'm up here in Maine for the holidays, and the internet's really bad up here, so I might lose y'all at some point. But
you're in Maine?
I am. I'm in the house where I grew up. So.
Oh wow! How cool.
Yeah.
But you still have your banjo with you, right?
I do, of course.
What have you been working on? You're always good for some interesting tunes.
I've been working on a tune by Bronwyn that I'm not sure I can play very well. I had to perform it a couple weeks ago, and I haven't played it since. Is
this like off of her solo album or what?
Yeah, Fiddler's Pastime. It's called Fiddler's Pastime, but I'm no Wes Corbett, so I just had to sort of fake my way through it's called Open Water. I'll play a little bit of it for you. It's probably not the one I would choose to play because it's but here, I'll turn this. know, something like that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks.
Now is that so? That's called Fiddler's Pastime, but that's
Yeah,
different.
that's called Open Water. I think the album is called Fiddler's Pastime.
Oh, okay. I was confused. I'm like, because that's not the Fiddler's Pastime tune that
Nope.
I'm.
Oh, that's what the name of the album was. That the album is called Fiddler's Pastime. So, yeah,
I'm with you
Wes, Wes does like he goes. Stuff I can't do, and he does it a million miles an hour. So,
I know.
Rework
I
what
hate, I hate that guy.
Yep. It's pretty darn good stuff. So, yeah, I've been accompanying a group of young women from Berkeley, actually. They have a year-long class, Women in Roots Music and Women in Bluegrass. And there are about 11 or 12 of them. And none of them play banjo. So I got hired to be their accompanist. And that was one they wanted to do. They wanted to do all kinds of tunes that are really, really fast. So there was that one. There's a Sammy Brayman fiddle tune called Duck House, which I learned was great. It's a great fiddle tune. San Joaquin, Molly Tuttle's San Joaquin. I don't know if you know that one at all.
Yeah, I've heard them play it. Yeah.
Goes about a million miles an hour. And then they did a lot of really lovely sort of real lush vocal harmony stuff. Queeby Sisters, some stuff by Della Mae. They did some Loretta Lynn tunes also that they sang harmonies on. And anyway, it was a nice little project. So that's mostly what I've been working on in the recent months, actually, is just getting their stuff up to speed.
It sounds like that'll keep you in shape.
It ought to. Yeah. It ought to.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else do we have here? And Ken, you have your banjo too. I like this show and tell thing. The more you guys play, the less I have to think of things to talk about. So this is making it easy for me.
You're muted, Ken.
There we go. What I've been working on mostly the past few years, since I can't play fast very well anymore, is playing pretty. And I'm working a lot on Great American Songbook and Broadway show tunes. And so a few years ago, this one came together pretty quickly. I don't practice enough. I hope I don't mess it up. But when Steven Spielberg's West Side Story was coming out, I looked through a music book to say, well, what's doable? And I found this one transposed away just one key because it's written in E flat, but it works pretty well in D. Let's see if I can do it without messing up too much. Crap. I can't do it tonight. I'll try again. Next line. Well, there were ideas in there. I just couldn't execute it in front of you all.
That was great. I love that song.
I can send the tab to anybody who wants it to prove that there really is a correct arrangement. I just couldn't pull it off tonight.
Ken, where do you live?
Tacoma Park, Maryland.
Oh,
In the
nice. Do you know Larry Marshall? No.
Is he the one from Gettysburg? Is he the
Yes, Gettysburg,
retired
right.
astronomy professor?
That's
I met him
right.
at Joe Val in 2015, and we've been
Sweet.
Facebook friends ever since.
Yeah, so you've heard his chord melody stuff that he does with all the American Songbook stuff.
Yes, I provided a tab. I provided him my tab of On the Street Where You Live.
Yes.
For his presentation.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would think you guys.
If anybody is interested in having a tab to somewhere, I guess contact me through Keith or something. Maybe you can post it we can post it to the Picky Fingers Facebook group or the Picky Fingers.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely post it to the Facebook group, or Patreon, I think, allows you to make posts with attachments and stuff.
Yeah, or I could just post my email so people can write to me, then I can email them the tab.
However you feel comfortable doing it. Yeah.
I'm sorry I had those bad nerves. Anyway, so next month I'll share. I've grown accustomed to her face, which I've also been working on.
Very nice.
And it's fully tabbed out.
What kind of banjo is that, Ken?
Oh, so this is my mongrel. This is my mongrel Gibson. Are you familiar with Johnny Cash's song "One Piece at a Time"? He writes this. He tells this song about how he worked for GM and he wanted a Cadillac and he couldn't afford it, so he stole it one piece at a time over the years.
Yeah.
So this
Took it out in his lunchbox.
So this banjo has the neck resonator, probably tension hoop, and original armrest from the 70s. But a previous owner had already reformed the heel to work with one-piece flange. So it had aftermarket parts. It had third-party unknown parts when I bought it. Now it has a 2000 RB250 rim, a 99 or 2000 Gibson stamped Sullivan Crow ring. It has 70s correct, but from someplace else, tuners. It has the 70s correct. Actually, I have the 70s correct tailpiece elsewhere, but I'm using a Kirshner these days. So it's and it has a 1960s Doler, correct Gibson Doler one-piece flange. So this banjo has parts from the 50s or 60s through 2000. And I like it.
Hey, whatever works. That's the cool thing about banjos, right?
Yes.
They're almost all completely unique.
Right.
That's awesome. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I went to Nashville. Spent the winters in Melbourne Beach, Florida, and had a side trip to Nashville to see a couple of shows and enjoy Nashville, and that was quite the experience.
Tell us what you did. What did you do? Who did you see?
Went to the Ryman to see Amy Grant and Vince Gill's Christmas show, which was
okay.
Awesome. Was awesome. Wasn't bluegrass for sure, or there wasn't even a banjo, but it was still awesome. Awesome show. And then the next night we went to the Grand Ole Opry Christmas show, and there was some banjo playing there. I don't recall the player's name, unfortunately, but
okay.
A nice trip there. It was a little chilly from being in Florida, going up to Nashville, and it was we were camping in our camper, and we managed to stay comfortable, but it's a little chillier than we had hoped it would be. But
where did you find a place in Nashville to put your camper?
There is the Nashville KOA.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
Okay.
very close to the Grand Ole Opry, actually. Maybe
Oh,
about
no
a mile
kidding.
or two away. And, yeah, so it's sort of outside of the downtown.
All right.
And we spent some time downtown and a little bit nuts at night there, a little crazy with so many different sounds coming out of every direction at the same time. But,
Did you go to,
I-
Nick, did you go to Groon when you were there?
I actually did. And,
Yeah. It's a cool place.
yeah, very cool. I wasn't in the market for a new instrument, but I just figured I'd maybe try out some special instruments. And I asked about the pre-wars, and they unlocked the door and sent me upstairs. And I sat down with George Groon for about a half an hour and just chatted. And while I was playing a 1926 GB something, it was originally a six string that had a Frank neck on it and played really nice. Ball bearing, an original pot with a ball bearing tone ring. And very interesting man. I've just chatting, and I was telling him my thing, and I was telling him that I'm trying to get to retirement, and he's saying he's never going to retire. No need to. And I said, yeah, if I had your job, I wouldn't either. Get to play the best instruments in the world right there.
So what do you, and I guess I'll open this up to anyone else, what do we think of ball bearing banjos? Those are they're somewhat maligned, but they're kind of cool.
I had never played on one before and didn't even realize it was a ball bearing tone ring till George said that's what was on it. And I said, wow. So it's sort of like an arch top, it looks like, kind of.
Yeah.
But it had a very tight, good separation of notes. Sounded really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's cool.
What is a ball bearing banjo?
Well, I guess it's the tone ring, Colleen, that there must be ball bearings in it. It's not like a one piece thing.
Yeah, like in the.
I don't know if anybody has more detail.
So around the rim, Gibson had bored a bunch of holes. I don't know how many, maybe 20, maybe 24, as many as there are hooks. They bored holes, and down in the holes, at the bottom of the hole was a washer. On top of the washer was a spring. On top of the spring was another washer. On top of that washer was a ball bearing. And it was all around. And supposedly it was going to put upward pressure against the tone ring somehow and contribute to the sound. There are very few of those ball bearing pots remaining in total use that way. People over time just took them out. It was an idea that I think it didn't really accomplish anything. So there are people who still have them totally intact, but mainly what's happened with those ball bearing rims, people have taken the ball bearings out, cut the rims down, and put flathead tone rings on them. And the ball bearing tone ring the tone ring itself was a precursor of the arch top tone ring.
Yeah, this is all in like 1925, 1926.
In the 20s, yeah.
And maybe I'm just misremembering, but I thought they had the idea that ball bearings reduce friction in other devices in which ball bearings are used, and that was a way to reduce acoustic friction somehow.
That I don't know. I don't know whether it was supposed to provide. I don't know whether we're supposed to provide some kind of floatingness of the head, of the tone ring, so that maybe they didn't think they wanted the tone ring sitting flush down on the wood, and so maybe.
Did it have something to do with the fact that the heads used to be made out of skin that had a great deal of flex, like it flexed a lot with different temperature and humidity changes?
I haven't read enough to know, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
And perhaps the springs could even out the tension across time. That'd be an interesting idea.
Yeah, equalize it a bit.
My mom just ordered just received her a banjo she ordered from Neckville, and I worked with, my mom is tiny and she has tiny hands and she really struggles to play stringed instruments, but God bless her, she's absolutely committed to learning some stringed instrument at some point. And so I've been teaching her banjo over the last year and she's been doing quite well. The little tiny, Deering Good Time, the reduced scale length, the A scale banjo. And so I worked with Tom and we sort of settled on, it might actually be just about 25 inches, basically Fender guitar scale length. So kind of in between an A scale and a standard banjo, maybe closer to 25 and a half. And remember, the point is, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous instrument. And in order to reduce weight, which also bothers my mom, instead of the sort of neck fill, classic bell bronze tone ring, put in the cyclotronic hybrid tone ring. And I wasn't paying attention when I got it. I noticed it's mounted, sure enough, on ball bearings all around, under the tone ring, between the wood rim and the tone ring. So it's the same system, and doesn't quite sound as full as his, classic bell bronze tone rings, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous sound from that banjo. So
Yeah, I just got one I just got a Phantom a couple weeks ago with the hybrid tone ring.
Yeah.
It's got ball bearings. Yeah, it doesn't sound like, it's not quite as it doesn't sound like I have a Wildwood with a Huber ring in it, and I didn't fully appreciate how ringy it was until I played it right after playing the neck bell, and then I'm like, oh wow, there's that ringing sound. But it's cool. I mean, it's gorgeous. The inlay, and it's super lightweight. The thing feels like a feather compared to my other banjos.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I figure, given how easy, and I've seen the guy that owns Turtle Hill Banjo Company, and
Danny Stewart.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I saw him change out a tone ring on a banjo in like a minute or two, which is really impressive on a neck fill. And so I figure once I get my mom used to this banjo, maybe I can sneakily swap out, an actual tone ring.
And when is your mom going to join the Picky Fingers VIP lounge?
Well, that's a good question. I'll have to ask her about that. She's very, very shy, but I think she'd enjoy it a lot.
Not that y'all aren't great, but female power, Gretchen, right?
Yeah, this is awesome. It might be the most we've had at once.
And we have Jon's daughter on here too.
Awesome.
Who? What's that?
Jon's daughter is also with us right here. Jon Lundbom's daughter.
Oh, is she? Oh,
yeah.
I'm not seeing her for some reason.
Keith, you have too many people attending.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there she is. Great, cool. But then just final thoughts on the ball bearing. You also hear stories, how Ken said there's the washer and the springs. You hear stories about people like taking the head off and it all like explodes, and there's like springs and ball bearings all over your floor. And so I think that's maybe the way a lot of them got phased out, is just they lost all the little pieces to them.
Yeah, apparently back in 25 and 26 at the factory, they actually used tiny, like circular slivers of cardboard to help all the springs sit at the correct height. So it's not just a question of like having the right springs and the right ball bearings. You also have to have the right tiny pieces of cardboard to make sure like they're all cool. I did play like an all original RB ball bearing master tone at Groons a couple years ago, and the big thing people say about the ball bearing master tones is that they're versatile. Like you can use them for bluegrass or use them for old time. And
I wonder if it's the same one that Nick played.
Maybe it was not what I was looking for. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't play old time, but it certainly wouldn't have done it for me for bluegrass. But amazing instrument.
Yeah, mine originally was a GB, so it was the original neck. It was 6 strings, and it was a 26, and it was all original other than the neck. It was quite heavy, actually. I was kind of surprised. It kind of felt as heavy as my Deering Sierra, which I believe is around 11 pounds.
There's a lot of ball bearings in there.
Yeah, a lot of metal, a heavy metal banjo.
For sure. Hey Sam, did you watch Jens's interview on that Bennett Sullivan did a week or two ago?
I did watch it. And I thought, there's no way Bennett's ever going to transcribe all of these licks unless he's.
That's what I thought too. Did you look at them to see if he got most of them?
He got like 4 of them. He did like
Okay.
4. He kind of just, curated the selection, and they weren't necessarily the ones I would have picked either. I mean, they're great, but I kind of want to go back through and pick out all of the licks. I mean, there's so much good material. It's the same thing that happens whenever you just get Jens talking about the banjo, right? So it's a fire hose of material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was able to transcribe some more of the ones than Bennett got to.
Oh man. Send them to us or send them to Bennett, or start your own Daily Banjo Licks channel or something. Got to capitalize on this.
Yearly Banjo
cool.
Licks.
Yeah. Well, the January 1st is coming up, so you got one due soon.
I just think it's so funny how Jens is, I don't know if he's always been this way, but he's certainly now he's like really crotchety about certain things, and one of them is licks. He just like really resists the idea of licks, and he also resists the idea of music theory, despite just knowing more music theory than anyone and probably knowing more licks than anyone off the top of his head. And I wonder if he's just kind of forgotten pedagogically how important that can be to kind of gather up that vocabulary. I mean, this is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's probably easy to be dismissive about something that you have so ingrained within you that you don't have to think about it anymore.
I went to a master class with Jens a couple of years ago, and as Jens does, he was talking about very big, very grand musical ideas and very big compositional ideas. And I sort of asked him a question like, could you talk a little bit about like how the hell you play so fast and so perfectly on the banjo? And he was just like, technique's different for everybody. I don't talk about that. It's like,
thanks for nothing.
I think that's just so.
I respect your point of view, but like I kind of really want to know how to play banjo like that. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's so important to be. I think that's such a hallmark of like a really versatile teacher, is the ability to not have forgotten how you got where you are, and actually to be able to break down the learning process. Because I think usually, like a virtuoso, that the existence of a virtuoso implies the existence of some implicit understanding of how to learn the instrument. And so, right, so when they go into the practice room, I think this is a sign that the things that they are doing are like good things to do, and they know how to structure their practice, and they know how much time to spend on different things. And of course, right, for Jens, I mean, back in the day, I think his schedule has shifted now, but he would practice from like his work would start at like 10 or 11 at night, and he'd go all the way until 6 or 7 in the morning, right? And nowadays, I think it's more like an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. schedule. But Jody Call, their drummer, was telling me that sometimes he'll call Jens to check up on him, and he'll call in the morning, and he'll Jens will pick up the phone, and you can kind of hear just the sound of the hand leaving the neck of the banjo, right? And he was like, "How are you doing, Jody?" And then he'll call again at night just to check up on Jens. You'll hear the same sound. "Oh, hi, Jody. How you doing?" He's just still practicing, right? 12 hours later. And I mean, that's the key, is lots of slow practice, just more slow practice than any of us probably have the time or patience for.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You just do it a lot.
Like John Dewey, right? Philosophy of education. John Dewey insisted there's no distinction between learning a thing and doing a thing. It's the same activity, right?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that music is a language, which is almost perfectly analogous as far as I'm concerned, if I had to teach someone the rules of English, that would be challenging for me. I don't know all the parts of speech and sentence structure. I can usually formulate coherent sentences, but if I had to teach someone how to learn English, that's a different thing when I'm a fluent speaker and I don't have a memory of how to learn. So I think that's a distinction too. Maybe Jens is just so so fluent from such an early age that he really doesn't remember learning in the first place.
That's an interesting thing. I was a Spanish teacher for a long time, and I was having a conversation with Kristen Scott Benson last week because I've been working with her on just getting better at bluegrass in general. And we were talking about licks actually as the words. And she said, I've been playing for a really long time. And she said, you're so conversant in banjo that it's going to be really hard for you to go back and learn new words because you already know how to converse in banjo. And licks are kind of like words, right? They're like, these are like you could say, I have a plate, or I have a platter, or I have a chafing dish, or there's all kinds of different words. You know what I mean? There are different ways to express the concept of a plate that you eat off of, and licks are kind of the equivalent of that in a way. And so it's just interesting. I can sort of understand why Jens resists talking about them or resists this notion that you have to learn them, because he, like you were saying, he knows the language so well that to break it down into its individual components
he's mainly focused at this point in his career on composing new pieces and not, he sort of has the improvisatory like jam thing down, right? And so I think when he approaches composition, right, he doesn't approach it as the stringing together of licks that he already knows. He hears a melody and he tries to figure out how the melody lays out on the banjo. Now, the missing piece there is because he knows so many technical building blocks, it's often very easy to translate what he hears in his head onto the neck because he has so much to draw from. Maybe there's something that is already under his fingers that's very close. And so it's very natural to put his hand in that position. And so I think that's the element he's missing. But I think you're absolutely right. There's a reason why he's resisting it, like a good pedagogical reason, because I think he doesn't want people to think of playing an instrument as the act of just stringing to like just putting Legos together, right? Just kind of mindlessly. Oh, this is a D chord. I know a D lick, right? Instead, actually hearing a melody and following the melody, which is a bit more sophisticated.
Yep, I would agree.
If I could throw one more thing into the discussion. I had a previous life as a jazz guitarist and have taken many, many lessons with people I admire. And since I've become a banjo player, I've taken many lessons with people I admire. And like very, very often the people whose playing I admire, those people are not very good teachers. And like there's a lot of value to sitting down in front of someone who's playing you love and just watching their hands and talking to them and like seeing what they do. And like that's a certain type of lesson. And then there's another type of lesson with someone who just like, whether or not they're the best player you've ever heard in your life, like just really know how to teach and really know how to communicate. Kristen Scott Benson is someone who's kind of both, like, and that's kind of, a miracle. But yeah, like when I had the math class with Jens, like, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm not going to get what I want from you, like teaching wise, but like, I also get to sit here and watch you play music and watch you move your hands and watch you and like learn what I can from you that way. So
I totally agree.
It's really valuable.
I want to try to crack him open because there's so much, he knows so much, and it's going to go away. It's going to go away with him, right? I mean, short of someone sitting down and like just transcribing everything he's ever played, which is kind of an insane task, but like he knows, like he hears these sounds, he immediately knows how to, his knowledge of like arpeggio, like 2-octave arpeggios. Nobody plays 2-octave arpeggios on the banjo except for like a G arpeggio because it's open strings mostly. But he just has all of this down, and it's like probably every way of playing every scale you could think of. So many different harmonized scales that he uses intuitively, and this wealth of like idioms in every single musical language, from blues to jazz to classical. And it's like there's such an efficiency, like in the classical world, right? We have things written down in pedagogical books that are graduated very carefully, and in technique books. And I know that's resisted in a lot of sort of like vernacular oral musical traditions like bluegrass, but it's just comes down to the fact that it's really, really efficient to have already had someone figure out how to play that, what the best fingering is, what the most efficient way to do it is. And then you practice that for a day and it, instead of spending a month trying to transcribe some complex solo and break it down into its building blocks. I mean, I know that that's kind of a rite of passage in like jazz and bluegrass, but it's just horribly inefficient. And so I want to kind of get past that. And
I think you're right. I think you're right that particularly does not exist for the banjo, or at least has not historically. Maybe that's starting to change, but yeah, I think you're right. I think for other instruments, it does exist. It does. Oh, excuse me.
Did anybody catch the Jens Deering question and answer thing a couple of nights ago? It's actually recorded on YouTube, but he goes on in detail about everything. He's very wordy. He can talk. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But very extremely knowledgeable, and he was talking about his compositions, and he picked up like these like binded books that was, okay, here's this song, and it was like this thick, and now here's this one. He had like 4 or 5 of them. He does notate everything, and
yeah, for the
talked about a lot of things.
Compositions, he plays with the contrast. Yeah, he does write all that out. Although in standard notation, there's no tab in those books.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, standard notation. Amazing guy for sure.
That's why this is not a does not rise to the level of a shameless plug for my book because it doesn't exist yet. But I'm working with Max on some kind of pedagogical tool. I mean, it's in very, very early stages, but I want to make this exist for the community. So it's just a little bit easier to make progress beyond Scruggs style on the banjo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gretchen was just saying that it's specifically non-existent for the banjo. I wonder if I bet it's a combination of the banjo being still pretty young, at least in the way that a lot of us are playing it. And also it's inherently really squirrely to hear. Like learning banjo by ear, like a fast bluegrass song, is insane. Like I've been playing for over 20 years and I can't reliably do that and feel like I'm accurate about it. Sometimes I'll be lucky, but I have a much easier time transcribing like fiddle melodies and guitar melodies. It's just weird. It's not easy. People like Eli Gilbert who can just transcribe stuff off the cuff. Like I know it's just a practiced thing like anything else, but I think it is inherently more difficult than a lot of other instruments.
Keith, it's been a couple of years, but Kyle Tuttle talked about that in your show a lot, or maybe not a lot, maybe whatever, but just like the fact that there is no pedagogy for 5-string banjo. Like it's a thing, 5-string banjo. Hi, 3-string banjo. Nope, 5-string 3-finger banjo. That's a thing that's only existed since the 1950s in recorded music, right? And like compare that to classical music that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Like we just don't have the pedagogy yet.
That was Wes, but yeah, same point.
No, I meant no. I know who I meant. Like because he mentioned it on your show, and I took a lesson with him. We talked about it some more. Maybe Wes.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Wes also talked about it. Yeah.
Okay, Wes did. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, like you know how I do the little intro blurbs. Like the first thing you hear of an episode is just whatever. The thing that Wes said was how banjo is non-linear and we don't have the history that piano has, where if you want to play piano, do this. We don't have the this for bluegrass banjo yet. We're getting there. We have a few things, but
instead we have more to argue about.
We have more to argue about. Like, do I plant 1 or 2 fingers? We still don't know. We still don't know what we're supposed to do.
Do you need to use rolls, or should you learn rolls, or should you not learn rolls?
Yeah, it seems like there's not as much foundation.
Most Scruggs didn't think about rolls. I'll throw a brick at my computer. It's like
that's what makes it so special and so collaborative, and maybe that's why the community is so great.
Right.
We'll go with that. Yeah, we don't want to solve it. We wouldn't have anything to bicker about.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of skills, you have a foundation of certain things you have to do, and then you can progress from there. And it seems like banjo is kind of more all over the place. Like I haven't been playing that that long, but it's like some people, most of the roles have the same names, but sometimes people will call them by different names. And, you know, there's not even a uniformity with that. So you're like, wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You know, there's not one sort of language. So that makes it, from a beginner standpoint, that makes it kind of harder to figure out who's saying the same thing and who's saying something different, you know. So I have noticed that.
Yeah, once you start codifying like a folk tradition, you can run into, I don't know, inconsistencies, I guess.
Yeah. And I train dogs as my retirement gig, and I'm obsessed with dogs. So, but I think everybody who trains a dog should have to learn a musical instrument, because really, because they all think, a lot of people think, well, the dog did it yesterday, they can do it. And I don't know about you guys, but like one day I'll be able to play something, and the next day it's like my fingers have never heard this before in their life. You know, it's like, what finger am I on? And, you know, all the time people will say, well, my dog did it this way, or my dog, you know, and it's like, it's a dog. They don't, just because they do it once doesn't mean they learn it. And so I've often joked that everybody should have to learn to play a musical instrument so they get that.
So they can feel like an untrained dog.
Yeah. Well, and English is a second language to dogs, and they think dogs should just know English, you know, just from the get-go.
That makes sense. Gina Furtado is an excellent dog trainer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her or what she does, but that's her job too. At any given time at her house, she has like 6 random dogs that she's trying to whip into shape. So
yeah, well, the dogs are easy. It's the people that are harder. And when I go to classrooms and we talk to kids, I always have this stupid joke that I say, you know, no dog has ever called me for an appointment. If you just want to focus on dogs, that's one thing. But if you want to work with dogs and their owners, it's all about teaching the owner. You know, the dog's fairly uncomplicated. The owners have a whole different thing going on.
All right, Colleen has someone saying hi too. Who's that scruffy boy?
This is Norman.
Hey, Norman.
This is my only child.
Well, I have several, but Cece is 10, and Cece's owner died, and Cece needed a home. And so Cece's kind of slumming it with me because I trained her when she was younger, and then I didn't see her for like 5 or 6 years. And her owner was elderly, and her owner at one point had a trust fund for Cece, but that kind of got dissipated into something else. So the people that took Cece decided if there weren't any money involved, they didn't want her. So I took her. But I say Cece is slumming at my house because her owner died and left a $14 million estate. But not at my house. But she doesn't know any difference.
A trust fund for a dog.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Well, actually, it's not, because if you have dogs, and I'm getting to an age where like my bird, I just lost a 23-year-old bird last year, and I have another one. You have to set up something for your dogs. If you die, you know, what's going to happen to them? You know, do they end up at a shelter? You know, what are you going to do? And especially if you don't have a family or whatever, like my husband's grandkids will take my bird that I have now, but it's actually not as uncommon as you think. But I didn't get anything from Cece's owner. She did something else, but that's okay. Yes, Cece, that's all right.
Yeah, guys, I'm a hospice nurse, and I'll back that up. It's really not uncommon at all.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I'm just an irresponsible pet owner. I don't have any advanced directives or trust funds or nothing. No life insurance policies in their name.
I don't know.
So, Keith, that's not your area of law, like family law or pet law or
pet law, nor bird
there
law.
There you
go. What is your area of law, Keith? Is that what you do full time?
My area of law is trying to do as little of it as possible and trying to maximize my podcasting and banjo playing gigs. No, I literally do, like, so where you see me right now, this is where I spend all my time. I never go to court. I do document review projects, which anyone who's familiar with law, that's like the lowest, least exciting job you can have as a lawyer, but it's really flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to go to my kids' sporting events and play gigs and go to IBMA and things that real lawyers probably wouldn't get to do because they're too busy working 90 hours a week. So whatever, it's give and take, but it pays a few of the bills.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey Keith, as long as we're talking about you, congratulations on the Alan Mundy episode. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, I hesitate to point things out for people to not like about it, but it was probably my worst like audio quality sounding one that I've put out in a while, and that kind of bugged me. But it's Alan, so what am I gonna do? Not do it? So
no, listening to it, it was pretty clear that the audio issues were that Alan didn't have a microphone. Like it clearly had nothing to do with you.
So I'm not throwing Alan under the bus because he's a brilliant person and I don't expect him to be recording savvy. He did have a microphone, and this is hilarious. He had to burn a CD and mail it to me of his recording. And then when I got it, it was the worst recording I've ever heard. So I that's actually why it was late, is I spent a lot of time trying to get his CD to sound good, and I eventually gave up. And fortunately I record just like I'm recording this, I record the interview, and I just ended up using the Zoom audio. Because his was even worse. So again, not to throw him under the bus, his job isn't to be a recording engineer, but I found that kind of amusing that he had to mail me a CD.
My favorite thing, I mean, I know Alan a little bit, and he's the most incredible human being. But like the main thing I took away from the episode is how many times he said he said like, I love this. I'm like, this is a musical thing that I'm excited about. Like he was, yeah, like banjo players don't often talk about how much they love a musical thing, much less the circle of fifths. And like he's just so like in control and so present in the way he's excited about and loves music. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I really dug how he said instead of not being a musician who plays banjo, I'm a banjo player who plays music. I thought that was a really cool distinction that he made there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a what do I want to say? He's like a cerebral guy, but the fact that he's talks slow and has like the Oklahoma drawl, it's like really disarming. And then he starts saying all this smart stuff, and it's, I don't know, it's just a really fascinating juxtaposition of he's not how you would expect if you judge him just based on his presentation, which is cool. And honestly, the fact that I don't know how old he is he 80 yet? Do you have any idea, John? He's got to be pushing 80, and he's still putting out albums. Like, just the fact that he does that is like really incredible.
77.
There you go. Thank you. Fact checker. Yeah, and he still sounds great. Like I've heard him in person recently. His tone is amazing. He's not playing blazingly fast like he maybe used to, but everything he does is right on and really tasteful.
When he lived in Central Texas, he would occasionally play banjo for this Thursday bluegrass night. And last time I heard him there, like they called probably 4 or 5 vocal tunes in B flat in a row, and he played them all like no capo. It's just like watching Alan Mundy just like pick up a vocal tune in B flat no capo. Like, oh God, that like puts you in the grave. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, like people talk about Alan Mundy because he's like the guy who brought Drive to melodic or whatever, and like obviously he's incredible in everything. But just like to watch him play just like pick up a vocal tune in B flat and open tuning, it's just like, God damn it. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he's impressive. He's one of those guys that's forgotten more about how to play banjo than most of us will ever know. Colleen, how are the jams going? I know the last time we talked to you, you were kind of finding a few groups to hang out with and stuff. How's that all going?
Yeah, I got a band, man.
Did you really?
Yeah, I started a new job, and one of our product engineers plays the guitar and his wife plays the fiddle, and we get together every weekend and we play and we practice songs together, and it's a whole different thing compared to the jam thing. It's been great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Thanks for asking.
Did the jams prepare you for being in this kind of situation now?
They did. And the only reason I'm not jamming right now is I'm getting back. I went back to school to get my master's in business, and class is on Wednesday night, and the jams are also on Wednesday night. So I'll be back in a year and a half.
You really screwed up your scheduling then, didn't you?
I know.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you have folks to play with. Is it just the three of you then?
We have a bass player and a guitarist as well.
Well, you said the guy you work with is guitar, right? So
so we have two guitars, a bass, a fiddle,
two guitars.
And banjo. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well,
it's been fun. I'm trying to download TablEdit, or I don't know how it's called, but yeah, I'm trying to write my own songs right now. BB's helping me. I'm the opposite of you, Gretchen. I don't know all of the vocabulary yet, so that's where I've been struggling. Is I'll try to find the melody and then fill it in from there. So that's been my new challenge. It's been a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Are you working with BB on Zoom?
Yes.
So great. She's amazing. I love her.
How she's able to pick up on things over Zoom is incredible.
Really cool.
Yeah.
You mean pick up on things like that you're doing, like subtle aspects of your playing? Is that what you mean?
Right, visually or through audio. Yeah.
Yeah,
she picks up on fingerings, and it's insane. She's amazing. She's amazing teacher.
Yeah, she's a wonderful player. So, yeah, if she whatever she's telling you, yeah, listen to her for sure. Hey, well, we're right up on 9 o'clock. Does anyone else have any like last minute things to share or questions, or I don't know, anything else?
I just wanted to say I put my email address in the chat, so if anybody wants to write to me and get the tablature, which is in TablEdit form, I guess I could send a PDF. But I have tablature to On the Street Where You Live, I've Grown Accustomed to Her Face, and Somewhere from West Side Story.
Nice.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken.
So I can't play it live. But I can write it in tab. And also, actually, I do have a YouTube video of me playing On the Street Where You Live, which does prove that I can play sometime when I'm not nervous.
And I have the highest respect for you just playing in front of people. I can't. Yeah, I just get sick and want to throw up if I have to.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but there's just no excuse for me not be able to play something that I've worked out and can play when nobody else is watching.
You can't stay up to speed and practice of everything you know. I've figured that out. It was kind of nice when you're just starting learning and every day you can play everything that you know and stay up to speed. But after a while, you're like, oh wait, I used to play that.
Oh, that happens to me if I listen to, every now and then when I'm wallowing in the past, and I listen to my 1980s bluegrass band. I said, when did I do that? Or I found a recording of a song that we played, like in the early 80s. I said, well, I don't remember learning that song until, just before the band broke up in 87. I said, I was playing that in 82? What? Where did that come from?
I majored in piano like 40 years ago. God, I sound horrible today. I tried. I hadn't played in like 30 years, and I sat down. And I was like, God, this sucks. I just can't do this.
Yeah, not enough hours in the day, unfortunately. All right. Well, anyone who wants Ken's email address, grab it right now, or when I post the
it's
video.
easy. It's my first initial and my last name, knorkin @mac.com.
Okay.
I'm using
Also,
my Mac. Right?
whenever, just for general knowledge, then whenever I do post these on YouTube, I post the chat log as the description. So whatever, if anyone
wants it there too.
ever wants to find it, or if someone's watching this in the future somewhere, that's where you can look. Well, hey, I appreciate everyone joining in. Glad to see some familiar faces and
Have a
some
nice
new ones
holiday.
and everything.
Happy
Yeah,
nice
you too,
holidays,
Gretchen.
everybody.
Thanks.
All right.
Good to see you
Cheers,
all.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much.